I wasn't 100% content with just where I left it the other day because, you know, new part, a lot of stuff to cover, like way too much for me to comprehend right from the get-go. So I wanted to come back and take a bigger look. I like how the very beginning, we just have like a page where Araki refers to himself as a mangaka rather than his own name. Because, you know, we have no idea who that's referring to. A random guy said that one time. This first initial color page, absolutely amazing. I adore this. Look at this. Oh, it's so good. So good. JOJOLands. I am still not used to that name. I think it's probably going to take some time for me to get used to that name. I absolutely adore, like, the first line that we get from him is, "This may sound like bullshit." Oh man, this is mostly just setting up so far that we're coming into Hawaii. Araki is just like immediately, first thing, fuck cops. Hey, if you're gonna have a new part in the US, you know, sure, man, I guess so. What exactly is he eating here? Is he just eating like egg on rice? He's just eating eggs. It's a Hawaiian meal. What's that called? Hawaii egg food. Lokomoko? Oh yeah, that looks like it. Yeah, I think that's Lokomoko. Get an image out. This, that looks really good actually. It's kind of making me hungry. Every part in the US features bad cops. Is that true? It was in Battle Tendency. Part 6, I guess technically, yeah. Although they were more like prison guards. What about Steel Ball Run? Does Steel Ball Run have bad cops? I can't remember any instances of that. Would Tim count as a cop? Maybe, I guess. He's a sheriff, right? Tim would probably qualify. Oh yeah, the cop. Was that a cop that tortured Johnny in the hospital? Okay, but the real question is, do you like Meryl? Yeah, sure. She seems pretty interesting so far. We don't have too much about her, so not entirely sure, but we'll see. She's promising. Honestly, I'm really hoping Meryl isn't revealed to be an antagonist. I mean, he's kind of being set up as like a pulpo sort of figure, like the initial boss of the lower levels, but she doesn't seem to be answering to anyone in particular, so maybe they'll just stick with her for the duration of JOJOLands, but something about that doesn't seem right to me. I'm not entirely sure. It seems pretty obvious to me that the crew will visit eventually leave Hawaii and visit some actual subtropical islands. Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably going to be the case. So is Meryl going to be mentored to death? Mentor of the hustle? Yeah, maybe. What if she's a rock human? Yeah, what if anyone's a rock human? I mean, anyone could be a rock human technically. Nothing proven that they can't be so far. Somehow we're back in Morio. I mean, it's not impossible. There's still like unfinished business in Morio. Although I could see like a lot of it just being resolved through flashback or something. Most likely anything with Holly is gonna be resolved through flashback. But then again, we have Barbara and Joestar, who is the sister of Holly. So like, maybe we can learn more about what happened to Holly through her. It's difficult at this point to point to different things and say that's going to be important for the entire part, or that's not going to be important, or whatever. Do you think Barbara Ann has a stand? I mean, we still don't even know if Holly has a stand. It's possible, I guess. It depends on how Araki wants to use her throughout the part. If she's just going to be like a minor character or what. I could see her being completely standless and just have her kids trying to protect her if anything related to that comes up. Holly could see Paisley Park, but it's also possible that she just intuited it based on the fact that she had a son who did have a stand. It doesn't necessarily require that she has a stand. We have Dragona. What should I be using for Dragona for the duration? I would say he, but I think it might just be better to do they. I think I'm just gonna go with they for the duration until we like find out for sure. I'm probably late, but what do you guys think the significance of Dragona lacking the JoJo nickname? Here's the thing, it could either be significant or it can be entirely insignificant. It's very possible that the point is just they're not a JoJo, so they don't have it. But on the other hand, maybe something comes up along the line later where some kind of revelation about themselves or something like that. It's way too early to like insist upon a certain character arc for any character individual, but maybe something comes up later with them potentially being like an alternate universe version of Jolene or something like that. I think that's possible. Not necessarily guaranteed, but you know, an AU Jolene is most likely going to show up in the part at some point. So in what way they show up, who knows? I think Dragona so far is the most likely candidate for it though. Are you implying that I can't guess the entire story from literally the first chapter? I mean, you can try. I don't think you would have been entirely successful if you tried to do it for Steel Ball Run or JOJOLion, but you know. Do you think Dragona is going to die? I'm already so attached. Possibly, but not at the very beginning. We'll get a while before either of the two siblings die. I can't imagine Araki killing off Dragona very early. If Gappy has a kid, they could be AU Jolene. Yeah, that's possible too, because here's the thing. JOJOLion takes place in 2011. JOJOLands, as far as we can tell, is just modern, so very likely 2023. So it has been about 11 or 12 years since JOJOLion happened, in which case we are going to have, in all likelihood, aged up versions of JOJOLion characters. So like Gappy, Yasuho, Tsurugi maybe Joshu. Anyone from JOJOLion returning would be a lot different in some way, and which means we get updated character designs too, which I'm very excited about that if that happens. But however many of the Higashikatas play a role in JOJOLands is, you know, up in the air. If we're talking about who we think the Japanese tourist is going to be, my bets are placed on Yasuho right now. I think she's the most likely simply because Koichi was the one that brought us into Golden Wind, and since she's the Hirose equivalent in the new continuity, that would just make sense. But I think there's going to be a more direct conflict, and Gappy might be more involved than Jotaro was, specifically because Go Beyond exists, and he can start shooting off invisible bubbles without even being present in Hawaii. He just needs to be on the phone with Yasuho. And you know what, if we're referring to this one thing where they said, yeah, like we got absolutely wrecked out there, there's not many characters that I think of that I think can actually do that, except for maybe Gappy. Just giving Jodio and beating the shit out of him would be pretty funny. Yeah, I'm hoping for it, man. I want to see him punt the little shit. That'd be so funny. Honestly, if Gappy just ends up being the main villain across the entirety of JOJOLands, I'd be down for that. That's funny. That'd be incredibly fun to have like a previous protagonist return and essentially be the driving antagonist. Because you absolutely know that these little shits are after the Rokakaka at some point. Like, there's no way that doesn't happen. Jodio is 15 years old, and you know what? Unlike Giorno, I actually feel like he acts like he's 15 years old. He has the biggest zoomer energy. Jodio is so funny, man. Like, the more time that's gone on, the more I've come to like him just based on what we've got. He's such an immense little shit. Jodio has definitely played Roblox before, almost certainly. The guy's an American teenager in 2023. Like, he's probably played Roblox, he's probably played Minecraft, he probably does TikToks. He watches YouTube constantly. He does Fortnite dances. He's a 15-year-old in America. I'm wondering how hard Araki is going to go in on that, because like he does have a tendency to just kind of have his protagonist homogenize into one general sort of attitude as time goes along. But if he keeps up that shit with Jodio just acting like a teenager the whole way through, I'm gonna be really happy because it's so much fun. Dragona 100% has like 500k TikTok followers. Yeah, they seem like that kind of person. I'm not ready for the TikTok name drop in JOJOLands. Neither am I. Jody on at least one Discord server, guaranteed. What Among Us color do you think he mains? I feel like he goes for navy blue. He seems like a navy blue type. But Jodio comes out. He looks at the cop through the car door from the other side. That's something about that's really like cool imagery to me. I don't know why. I find it interesting that like they're legitimately worried about like Jodio getting shot because they're both stand users, but they're not necessarily like punch ghost stand users. I don't think they could like catch a bullet or something. And then we get Jodio just moving, and suddenly there's like water droplets impacting the other cop, and then he reveals Summer Rain, which this thing, man, this thing is incredible. I love Summer Rain. Summer Rain is so cool. Look at that. Look at that. I'm so glad we're not just getting another humanoid stand, because as much as I like the humanoid stands, I love Star Platinum, love Crazy Diamond, love Gold Experience, love Stone Ocean, love Soft and Wet. There's still like something so great about a stand like this. It's way more unique. You know what it reminds me of? The 13 Sentinels, one of the enemy types. Like the tripod or something like that. Hold on. The high quads or something like that. These things. It reminds me of this, which I think is based on War of the Worlds. It's crazy looking, man. It's crazy looking. I'm imagining like how is Jodio gonna pose with it in like volume covers and stuff like that. He will sit on top of it. That would be amazing. Imagine if he like just props himself on top of it and the thing just like dances across the water like a water skeeter. Jodio can do a rainstorm photo shoot whenever he wants. Yep. November Rain is pretty huge compared to most other Protect stands. It's not even necessarily that it's huge. It's pretty big. It seems to be about 2 times the size of Jodio's torso, but he's also like a 15-year-old who I think is built like a 15-year-old. But like most of its kind of size comes from the fact that it's very tall and has very skinny appendages. We have not seen Jodio's star birthmark. You're right, it's very possible that he is adopted, but we can't be certain. That comes into the question of what exactly is their ancestry. Like, who is the father? Who did Barbara Ann have a child with? Now, the main thing to consider for that is, one, whether they actually do have any connection to Diego, which is possible, and the other thing is the fact that Dragona has all this Native American tattoos on. There are 3 years between Jodio and Dragona, so they could be half siblings perhaps. Yeah, it's very possible, but it doesn't seem to be the case. If it is the case, then they simply don't know of that. So we have Sandman here, who has this sort of snake tattoo or whatever this is. Sandman with the snake sort of tattoos, and then we have Dragona, who has very similar, yeah, they have identical tattoos on their arm. It's not exactly the same, but it's clear that they're supposed to like be visually similar, and you're supposed to make the connection. So what exactly does that mean? It could be 2 things. One, it could be the fact that Dragona has Native American ancestry, or 2, it could be the fact that Dragona is simply like just using Native American imagery on tattoos, which, you know, either is possible, but I lean more towards the idea that they have Native American ancestry, most likely. Could also be that the father is Native Hawaiian. Yeah, that's also a possibility. The issue with that is they're very similar to Sandman, who is mainland American, Native American. So like Polynesian tattoos are generally like very different, and I guess like they could just be, you know, indigenous tattoos and Araki is just making a generalization, but I want to lean more on the idea that it's most likely Sandman's tribe. I should just get some tribal tats Dragona. No, yeah. Hopefully it's not that. Hopefully it's not that. But I'm thinking that it might be possible that it was just Diego at some point had a child with not necessarily Sandman's sister, but like some Native American, maybe. The potential is there. That doesn't seem very like him, but then again, Dio did a lot of shit that I would say doesn't seem very like him, so who knows. But there's also the possibility that there is simply no actual tangible connection to Diego, and the sole thing that's supposed to be Dio-esque about Jodio is just his name. Well, Kira's a blue-eyed blonde, David Bowie-looking dude that apparently just blends into the average Joe and Morio, so I think the designs are just for fun, really. I think there's a difference between that and clearly having, like, tattoos that share a lot of, like, visual design motifs. That's, like, very uber-specific. Like, if it was just a blonde person living in Morio, that's just clearly kind of, like, anime shit, but tattoos are very specific. Like, if you saw someone who also had a butterfly tattoo that looked like JOJOLands, like, there would clearly be a connection trying to be made there. I love this panel. Like, the sheer energy of these two. Look at them. Look at these two idiots. I love them. It's Jodio's disability being a zoomer. Yeah, I guess it is. Jodio's really been growing on me. Like, I love him, man. Alright, so then we get the first instance of smooth operators. And I really like the stand. Look at these little guys. Look at these little dudes. They're just... They remind me of Sex Pistols, like, most obviously, but they don't have personalities in the same way. And they just, like, move shit around. They replace shit. Here's the thing, I don't know if it's like intended this way, but they're removing like indents off of a thing, because license plate lettering, it's just like bumps that are painted on. They're not like attached to it, unless it's different in Hawaii as far as I'm aware. I don't think it is though. What's with the logos on their head? So on the final page we get each of the characters' stands, and with the stand names is included a little logo for the stands, which I believe Dragona also has this logo on their body at some point. It's just like a little sort of D-dragon shape, and Smooth Operators has like a sort of symbol that resembles it, but it's also an SO for Smooth Operators. The D is for Dragona, and then the SO is for Smooth Operators, and they have just like little symbols to represent them. That's Dragona's arm tat? I don't believe so. Yeah, it's more like coiled on Dragona's arm, and there's like an interior line, so it's not just Dragona's tattoo, it's just like a specific logo. They were also shown moving the cop's eyes around his head, right? Not only were they shown moving the cop's eyes around the head, they were also shown moving Paco's ear. This body horror shit. And then they're also responsible for this, when Dragona is like taking Paco by the ear. It's so funny. So just generally, I think their ability is just to manipulate things, stretch them out, move them around. They're like construction workers, essentially, except they can do things in more abstract ways. The Smooth Operators seem to be able to move things that can't be moved, like how they move the ID pick, even though that would be under the laminate. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's a lot more abstract than what's physically possible. So, like, stretching out ears beyond what they would normally be able to do, moving the indents in license plates, and like moving around pictures that would be under laminate, stuff like that. I don't think we've seen the character use their stand to casually tease someone like that before. Yeah, I like the more mundane uses of stands. I don't think that's the first time. I feel like JOJOLian must have done that at some point. Soft and wet, maybe. JOJOLian did the tongue thing. Oh yeah, I guess so. Does that count? The flash forward is weird. I don't know if that was like teasing or if that was just, I don't know. It's hard to figure out what was the point of that. It could probably move text on a page like Crazy Diamond. Yeah, probably. Do you think JOJOLands will have a moral message to it, like Jodio getting money but losing his friend's family? Well, Jodio is pretty much just Icarusing it up right now. He's flying way too close to the sun, and he will come plummeting down when he eventually realizes his folly. But how exactly that will happen and to what degree, it's up in the air right now. But yeah, like, he's being way too much of a little shit for that to go unpunished. Like, he's gonna get screwed over in some way, and there's gonna be like a little bit of melancholy for it. What the fuck will happen at the volcano? I don't think anything in particular is going to happen at the volcano. I just think that was a cute little visual set piece that like existed for Jodio to dance around and explain mechanisms on, because he's at the volcano right here. This is the story of a boy becoming filthy rich in the subtropical islands. Yeah, like, this is just, there are volcanoes in Hawaii where like people just walk around on them, and you can see like lava flowing through them. It's pretty cool. Again, haven't been there myself, but I know a weird amount of stuff about Hawaii. Yeah, I just think it's a sort of cool visual set piece that Araki wanted to include. It makes the little monologue narration bit where he's talking about mechanisms and becoming rich. It just makes it more interesting, I guess. We'll just stick that right there. This is becoming so cluttered so fast. Okay, where were we at? Jodio beating cops to death. Apparently they're still alive. That's surprising. I would have thought they'd be dead. Do you think Dragona's pronouns were a mistranslation? Here's the thing about that. It's not necessarily a mistranslation. It's that we don't have the full context yet. Dragona, I believe, refers to themselves as with Atashi, which is just like a feminine version of like I, and then Jodio refers to them as Aniki, which essentially means big brother, but isn't necessarily like fully gendered. Certain times it's going to be just like vague information that you have to fill in the dots, especially when you're translating and you require different things for a sentence to function. So at this point, it's just like too early to say what Dragona is going by. We'll just have to figure it out as we go along. What if it's left vague for the rest of the part? That's possible. It'd be a bit annoying for the translators, I'd imagine, but yeah, I could potentially see that this being like Dragona's arc being about self-discovery in some way, but like Dragona seems pretty confident in who they are as of right now. I could see them like eventually changing their name to JOJOLian though. That'd be pretty funny. I've seen so many people shit on the translators for no reason, man. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like, it's mostly out of ignorance though. There's no winning when it comes to stuff like this. You just have to try to like do everything the best that you can. I read that Araki liked Hermes having the nickname Aniki, the fan nickname. Yeah, that might have been part of the reason. With the sort of character that Dragona seems to be built up as, I could see them being the sort of person who's like, I'm fine with any pronouns. Which, you know, that's cool. Either way, like, Araki included a character who, one, either is either just a trans character, just like thoroughly, or is just like a man who grew up as a man, was assigned male at birth, and despite that just has like cosmetically implanted breast implants. And you know what, that's also pretty like progressive and based, you know. Either way, like, Dragona's pretty interesting and cool, like, in that regard so far. The only issue was the fact that, like, it's kind of weird to have the introduction of such a character be with sexual assault, and being that's how you establish it. But you know what, like, we'll see as time goes along. I'm not gonna insist upon anything. Apparently there's a third gender amongst Hawaiian people that generally involve AMAB folk, as far as I know. Yeah, that could also be a thing. It remains to be seen how much Hawaiian influence Araki is putting in JOJOLands. Either it could just be like it just takes place there, or like a lot of the theming is going to surround Hawaiian culture and customs. Much like how Steel Ball Run, a lot of the theming surrounded American sort of culture and customs. But you know what? Yeah, I guess we'll see. Yeah, Mahu, I believe it is. What's AMAB? Assigned male at birth, if I remember correctly. Yeah. I still think they, them pronouns are best for Dragona. Yeah, I agree, based on the information that we have so far. I am really living for the relationship between Dragona and Jodio so far, though. They seem very sweet and wholesome, despite Jodio being such a massive little shit, such an unprecedented little shit. Hey, look at these two. It's adorable. Look at that. A little hug. It's cute. Let's just slide that in right there. Mama's boy. Yeah. Jodio's for real, like, man. What you don't understand is I'm a drug dealer, and that's why people respect my mother. He is in for a rude awakening, man. He is going to get screwed over at some point. He has no idea how shit works. The other opposite of Jarno, yeah. All these crackheads respect my mom. He doesn't understand the mechanism. Bro talks about the mechanism, he doesn't understand the mechanism. Jodio daughter's about to get mechanized so hard. Jodio's giving me Andrew Tate Zoomer vibes. Jodio's like, he seems very impressionable. You are 15, Jodio. The mechanism you understand is cringe. Yeah, nice job. Look at that, nice job. Nod? Yeah, good job. You did good. Do you think those rando gangsters will be reoccurring somehow? Their designs look too elaborate. I mean, it's Araki, man. Like, that doesn't mean anything. Everyone looks elaborate. Remember Tauka from JOJOLands? The man of all time? Alright, and then we get an Uber name drop, because you gotta have those modernisms. Jodio 100% had a phase where he wanted to be a streamer. Yeah, probably. Or a YouTuber. Like an idiot. Alright, so then we move on to an elaboration of Barbara Ann Joestar, full name, which is very strange. Apparently Joseph had another child for some reason. It's possible that, like, when Yasuho referred to Joseph having one child being Holly, it could just be ignorance. Also, it was possible that Yasuho wasn't the narrator there, but it was most likely Yasuho. Holly has a sister that we've just never heard of this entire time, and they are the mother of Jodio and Dragona. I don't think Barbara knows about her children being gangsters. Most likely, yeah. I can't imagine she'd be very accepting of it. November rain manifested due to Jodio striving for drip. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Then Barbara heads to her job on the bus that leaves at 8:06 at the duty-free shop at the airport, which is pretty common for a lot of Hawaiians to be, like, in the tourism industry, so that makes sense. You know, because naturally Hawaii is very tourism based, oftentimes to its detriment, but you know. My favorite crackhead theory is that she has a stand that manipulates people's behavior and Jodio just thinks he's responsible for it. Probably not, but it'd be funny. But because a bunch of stuff went on with our mother and father, our mother has been raising us alone. How intentionally vague. I wonder if they knew their father. They're from New Jersey, it makes so much sense. That's great. The other translation makes the separation seem more messy than it is here. This already makes it seem messy. Like, it's clear that he's being evasive about it. Joestar is my mother's last name. My name is Joestar. So he takes his mother's last name, but not because he doesn't know his father's last name, I guess. Which, one, makes sense, but like, two, there's the implication that they did have a relationship with their father. So I'm wondering what the father's deal is going to be. Also, whether the father is going to be like very clearly based off a character we know from the original continuity. You know, he doesn't have a lot of Spanish-speaking friends. I want to believe Jodio speaks with a Jersey accent. Their father is Diavolo. I mean, not impossible. And then we get the standout character, best boy, right here. You know him well. It's Hot Dog Man. Hot Dog Man. Hot Dog Guy. Hot Dog Boy. Look at him. Look at this dumb idiot. Hot Dog Guy. He doesn't even have a hot dog for most of the chapter. It's just the very end. It's the Junpei Yosuke Ryuji. This is JoJo. It's not Persona. Although they're very similar. Stan logo on his shoulder, by the way. I mean, the thing on his shoulder, I believe, is just like a pair of woman's legs. If I'm not wrong, if I'm not mistaken. What does that mean? What's a Stan do? Oh! It's a pair of legs, cause it's a stand. There we go. That makes sense. We got it. We got it. It just kicks people. You see, I like hot chicks, so if I plaster some hot chicks' legs on me, people will know I'm into that. Oh, that's great. How are they getting stands inside of Hawaii anyway? I mean, people can be born with stands, you know? It's like, that's pretty well established at this point. I hope Hot Dog Guy isn't a Joshu clone, but instead a bumbling lovable freak. I mean, I don't see them being a Joshu clone at all. They don't seem very similar to Joshu. They just kind of seem like a doofus. They remind me more of Mista, if anything. Aeon, when will you do the gritty? How do you know I'm not doing the gritty right now? I mean, I don't know what the gritty is, but how do you know? There are devil's palms in the American continent and they move around. I mean, they'd have to move pretty far to get to Hawaii. We might still see a devil's palm at this point. I think it's very likely. Just where it is, who knows? We need another Saint's Corpse to be able to do that. There's a devil's palm on the volcano. That seems kind of redundant. I mean, it's already crazy. Jodio is on the bus with Hot Dog Guy, right? As you are. Hot Dog Guy goes up to him. He's like, hey, you got the stuff. Takes out some cash. Jodio beats the shit out of him, as per usual. This is a pretty great panel. He's so confused. Look at his face. I would like to buy one marijuana, please. So concerned. Alright, then he comes back up to Hot Dog Guy, who he refers to as Senpai. No, one, I think that's just a translation thing. It's Hawaii, they wouldn't be referring to each other as that. But that does mean that Hot Dog Guy is older than Jodio. So probably like 16, 17 maybe, which is interesting. Jodio has Japanese descent, so that doesn't mean anything. He wouldn't be referring to some other random Hawaiian student as senpai. He would be speaking English. I think it's just like a translation thing. Yeah. I have Japanese descent and I don't randomly call other people senpai. Yeah, like, it doesn't make much sense. He's 18, he failed a grade, I'm calling it. Apparently Paco is like 19, but he like missed a year of school or something. So yeah. Yeah, Dog Park fully translated to upperclassmen. Even that's a bit like kind of, you know, janky. It doesn't really work with English. Like, no one who speaks English refers to each other as upperclassmen. It's just something that you have to deal with because you're translating from Japanese. Like, if we're being real here, it would just be Jodio calling the other guy dude or something to that effect. Man. Hey man. Like, there's not the same kind of reverence for upperclassmen as with Japanese. And then he's like, hey, sorry I beat you up earlier. You still want drugs? What if Hot Dog Boy's stand is called The Passion? You can't name every stand The Passion, man. You just can't. Can't do that. The Hot Dog Guy gets his crack cocaine. Is it far too early to detect a naming scheme? I don't recognize any so far. Dragona just like comes from dragon. Jodio, that's ridiculously obvious what Jodio is, but yeah. Meryl doesn't seem to have anything to do with like Paco or any of these other characters. Barbara Ann is just a Beach Boys song, I believe. Marijuana. It's very good. I think the names are just like on a character basis. There's no like overarching naming scheme, at least so far. It's not so obvious that they're like foods or something like Bucerati or Panna Cotta Fugo or Narancia or whatever. It could develop into that, but yeah, it's not so obvious so far. All right, and then we have the discussion of the mechanism. So what exactly is a mechanism? I believe what Jodio is describing here is like intangible power structures that exist. So like government or organizations or basically anything that allows something to be used, essentially. Societies, like anything like that. He refers specifically to systems as another way for it, but he like chooses mechanisms because it has more of the connotations of an ecosystem, like animals feeding off the grass and eventually shitting out, and that fertilizes the ground and then more grass grows from it. Like these kinds of larger overarching structures that eventually produce something. So that's what I think he's referring to by a mechanism so far. And then he's like, this is the story of me becoming filthy rich. And I love this, man. It's so funny. Like, we got 2 parts in a row where it's like, this is a story of me learning to walk again. And it's like a coming of age thing where I grow as a person. And then Yasuo's like, this is a story about breaking a curse. And then we come to JOJOLands and it's like, I'm gonna get fat stacks of cash, man. I am going to get wealthy. And I love that. It's such a change. It's so funny. It's interesting that Jodio's motivation is the same as Dio from Phantom Blood. A kid wanted to be rich, so he steals from a rich person. Yeah, it's just like, it feels like JoJo coming full circle. Which, given that this is probably going to be the last part, it makes a lot of sense. That's weird. This is gonna be the last part, and this is the sort of story we've got. It's very JoJo, but at the same time, it's very unique in a lot of ways, and doesn't feel like a natural. Like it doesn't feel like what you would expect. It's good. I love it, but like, yeah. We got introduced to Paco Levelantis with the torn up ear. The fact that he's gone for like a year kind of maybe points to rock human hibernation, but I think it's more likely that he was just a guy who was gone for a year. I think if we do get a character that like is revealed all of a sudden to be a rock human, it's going to be like kind of more out of the blue. Aeon, what's the music you're using called? It is Haole City from Pokemon Sun and Moon. I figured since we were doing something based on like Hawaii, that would be a good fit. I never thought of this joke before, Alolan Giorno. It's literally just Alolan Giorno. Yep. All the Alolan references have finally panned out. Alright, and then Paco swipes a wallet from some person, and Dragona gets on his case about it. This is such a weird descriptor. You might have friends who can tense up their muscles when a mosquito sucks blood from them, so it can't get away, right? Is that a common thing? I've never heard of that before. Like, that's such a JoJoism. What kind of freaks of nature does Araki know? Oh, you know, just people who tense up their muscles when mosquitoes sucks blood from them. Like, common. Not common, but I've heard of it. I've never heard of it before. It's just Araki, probably. Araki and mosquitoes name a more iconic duo. That's his fetish, man. That's his fetish. I dropped the mosquito with biceps, bro. What? That's great. I really like Meryl's design so far, though. Like, they're very different from typical JoJo characters. I mean, they're huge, which isn't that different, but yeah, it's not something that like you've seen so far in JoJo. It's pretty cool. 7 foot tall woman. I think she's taller than 7 feet. Like she towers above every other character. These other people look like they're at least like 5 foot tall, and she's like twice their height. That's just dick. She's the smallest image now. That's funny. All right, and then we get she tells Dragona to close the boutique up, and they go into the other room, and Jody is like, this woman, she is the master of the hustle. She has like 5 different jobs and half of them are illegal. Like it's a weird kind of respect. She definitely does like give off Popo vibes, like the initial boss, quote unquote, of the organization, which will eventually most likely grow past because Jodio wants to become rich, so that means in some respect striking out on his own. But for now, like, she seems pretty cool. The thirst for Meryl, yeah, some people scare me. I want Meryl to be like a Bruno figure. I don't see us getting that. Like, I mean, on the one hand, she's the principal, and like, we can go with the angle like, I may be trying to get my students to do the drugs, but I care about them deep down. Some bullshit like that. But most likely I just see her being the sort of organization boss. Does she know they have stands? I think it's possible that she has a stand. Like, she's gotta, right? Yeah, like either she's going to end up betraying them or they're going to end up betraying her. Something like that. But I don't see this organization maintaining the entire way through. I like the fact that like Araki just included, and she's sick at fashion design. It gave him just like an excuse to draw all these different like clothing designs. Look at this one panel. How hard do you think Araki went on this one panel? Like, look at that. He probably just had like a bunch of designs like on the side that he just threw up there. The bunny dress, some kind of cowboy chic. That one star dress is really cute. I bet you at least one of these designs is going to end up becoming a full character in the future. That'd be great. Meryl replacing Rohan as Araki's self-insert. Yeah, one of them does look kind of like Tusk, the star one, like if Tusk was a human. I like her attitude. Like, she's very like calm, and like she's like, oh, thank you, Dragona, that's very thoughtful of you. But like, she's very also like, and we're gonna steal from this person and we're gonna rob them blind. It's great. I love that sort of attitude change on characters. And the little clap she does, like, so good. She treats the crime stuff like it's just another job. Yeah, that's the best part. I love it because she acts like she's just like their teacher, essentially. She's a good mother and wife as well. Yeah, apparently, from what we've been told. But I would believe it. Like, she leaves the criminal shit at work. She seems really cool. I'm excited to get to know more about her. So then we get the discussion of the diamond, the unbreakable diamond. And she's like, I have some connections with customs in the airport, and they get info like this ticked once in a while. A plane that took off from Narita Airport arrived in Kona Airport 2 days ago at 11 a.m. Narita Airport is in Tokyo, which is not Sendai, where Morio is. It's very much south of Sendai. But at the same time, I think most likely if you were to take an airplane from Japan to Hawaii, you would have to take a plane from Sendai to Tokyo, and then from Tokyo to Hawaii. So it's still very likely to be someone that we know, like a character that's already been established. And my personal thought is that it's going to be Yasuho. Yasuho is most likely just because the Koichi connection. But it could also be another character. Like, it doesn't necessarily need to be Yasuho, and it could also most likely be an entirely new character. Who knows? I think one interesting possibility would be it being what if it was like Holijo Sarkira? Like, that's possible, and we would see essentially Jodio attempting to rob his aunt. That'd be pretty funny. It's still a MIDI, yeah. Paisley Park got stronger as we used more phones and the internet. I mean, Paisley Park doesn't even need to be stronger. Like, Paisley Park has access to go beyond. I don't remember the Japanese person's gender being stated. I don't think it's stated in any of the translations. It doesn't seem to be. It's intentionally left vague. It could be a woman, it could be a man. I think the fact that they're not explicitly saying a Japanese man, I think it's more likely to be a woman, but then again, I don't know entirely how Japanese the language works, so who knows. But yeah, I'm leaning towards Yasuho. Holly Joestar Kira coming back to give us closure on how she got better after JOJOLands. Yeah, potentially. We gotta get some confirmation on that eventually. The fact that the main protagonist's mother is the sister of Holly Joestar Kira, I think that itself means that we're gonna like hear about what happened some way or another, but how that happens, we'll see. The Japanese person is Araki. Imagine Araki inserts himself at the very last part. That'd be pretty funny. Alternate Rohan. Here's the villa. It's a real stately mansion. If you want to get a floor plan of it, I'll get one later for you later. The difficulty level is about a level 2. And this is a Japanese tourist, so if there's a gun hidden somewhere in the house, I'd be surprised. The fact that like she includes that makes me think, oh yeah, this person has a stand, like almost definitively. Or like some kind of like stand using bodyguard or something like that. It feels like it's shaping up to be a Higashikata, because just the fact that the Higashikatas run a fruit company makes it very likely that they would have business in Hawaii for some reason. According to the Esta, this Japanese person is planning on staying here for 15 days. They have no companions, they're alone. That's the interesting part. If it is Yasuho, like it's strange that she's coming here all by herself, but you know what, like I could see other characters potentially being busy or something, and there's nothing to say that like she shouldn't be able to come by herself, so who knows. Whatever character it is, if it's a character that we already know, we're gonna get like a decade plus later like design change, which is pretty cool. What kind of person carries a diamond around? I mean, diamonds are unbreakable. Yeah, you know? Yeah, so it would be a Higashikata by marrying Gappy. I guess so. I guess so. Yasuho Higashikata. It's a possibility. But then again, I doubt Gappy is very much invested in the fruit company. So, like, Yasuho likely wouldn't be either. Hayes Kingly Park. Linking Park, that's pretty good. I like that, that's pretty good. That's actually, that's a brilliant name for a stand like Paisley Park. Linking Park. So like Meryl's like, my cut is 18%. Makes sense, like she's the one that provides the plan and the methodology for doing it, and she's the one who has to sell it on the black market. And then the rest of them get 2% altogether, which leaves them at $120,000, which that's pretty good. Split 3 ways, that's 4% at 40 grand. Yeah, it's pretty big money. And Dragona, the face Dragona makes when they're like, oh, how much is that? What am I gonna use it on? It's pretty great. Look at it. Dragona's great. Yeah, 80% expenses for selling it. They still get like a 2% cut, but like considering they're doing most of the work, that's still a bit like hefty, but it's not entirely unreasonable, I guess. Oh, right, it's for all 4 of them, so it's actually less than Jodio's estimate. It would be 30,000, I guess. Yeah, 30,000 for each. Oh, and you'll be going as a team of 4. It's a pretty large property, and you're looking for 1 small diamond. Hot dog guy wielding his famous hot dog. Best character. I'm so hyped for hot dog guy. I'm so hyped. Look at hot dog guy. Look at him. The goat. The goat. Hot dog guy, the goat. What kind of pose is this, man? His clothing reminds me of Aisho. Not even Aisho. Aisho like had pants on his head. He's just got like a, what's it called? A diver suit or something. He's like Oasis, yeah. Imagine his stand is just literally Oasis. What's Oasis's user's name? Seko, I believe? Yeah. Is this the guy we sold goods to this morning? He's a customer. And then he's probably like, But I bought that meth for my family. It was for my family, man. My family needed that meth. He might be high right now. It's alright, he's not a drug addict or anything. He's a good student, I guarantee it. What did he need it for then? I'm still baffled by that he's not addicted to drugs. What was he doing with it then? Yeah. Like, why does he need drugs if he's not a user? If she says go with 4 people, then 4 people is what it's gonna be. The boss did call one thing correctly. Just the 3 of us would seriously not have been enough. Actually, it wouldn't have been enough no matter how many people we had. So they're gonna get their shit wrecked. That's pretty much confirmation of that. And I'm curious about that, because that means either one, the Japanese person that's there is incredibly powerful, which if it's Yasuho or Gappy or something like that, that makes sense. But if it's just like a regular Higashikata member, like Hado, can you imagine Hado beating down 4 people and like not even breaking a sweat? Like, Go Beyond, I can see doing that, but like anyone else, even Go Beyond, it's such a very particular ability that I can't imagine referring to it as it wouldn't have been enough no matter how many people we have. It's strange. I'm not entirely sure what to make of this. Like, I think it's very likely just possible that they're just referring to an entirely new character, and that character will like end up being possibly the main antagonist, but who knows. Do you think the diamond is a ruse to attract the gang? It seems suspicious that they announced that they have a diamond on them. Not necessarily. If they were going through customs, they might have needed to declare it, but maybe. Who knows? It's possible, like, just someone, as they were going through customs, knew about it. And yeah, then we get one final look at all the stands, and I love the fact so far that it doesn't seem to be mostly combat-oriented stands. Like, they all seem to be utility-based in some manner of speaking. November Rain is the most like combat-focused one, but even that, depending on like what the stand actually does with its rain droplets, or if it's just controlling water, or if it's just generating any liquid, that can be used in a number of ways. Smooth Operators is like entirely utility based. I feel like you would have to be like in close quarters combat to get any combat usage out of it, and at that point it's still very difficult. And the Hustle, I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what the Hustle can be used for, but it's there. It's got a cool name. I love the theming of the stand names, like Smooth Operators, the Hustle. They're gonna take you for all you've got. It's great. And yeah, this is an amazing chapter, man. Like, what an introduction to the part. So much better than I could have even thought. Do the Hustle. It's a good stand for a criminal. I mean, it's basically pickpocketing the stand, but at the same time, in a lot of cases, I don't see how it's any different from what like a hand could do, like just by grabbing something. You don't really need to do that with the rest of your body. I'm fully convinced the Hustle's ability will be changed later on. Either that or it'll be like very much elaborated upon. Imagine the Hustle, you just like punch them and it nullifies any damage. You shoot them and it catches the bullet. You try to slash them with a sword and it catches the sword without piercing the body. Like, there are ways that could be very powerful, but it depends on how the ability is actually utilized and like what its limitations are. I'm excited for the next chapter. It's a month away. We're back on the monthly release schedule. I miss JoJo so much. It's been a year and a half and this felt so good. And we're not gonna get another like such a long chapter next month as well. But you know what? That's fine. I like the monthly turnaround. Yeah, it's only 25 days at this point. It's not too long, but even still. This was almost like 2 chapters in one. It basically was. And it's 2 monthly chapters, so they're already like pretty lengthy. So happy we're not stuck in one review anymore. Me too. Me too. Yeah, usually chapters are like 45 pages. This was around 70, I believe. So, like, not quite 2 chapters, but 1.5, I guess. Is there anything else that like I didn't touch upon that you want to hear my thoughts on? Did anyone ask you what you think November Rain's ability is? Like the true extent beyond making raindrops that hurt? I'm two minds about it. It's either just pure water manipulation, so like if they went on the ocean or something like that, they'd be able to control it then. Or it creates rain with a specific property, or it can make a rain of like any liquid, like something to that effect. Catch the rainbow but stronger? And not really. Like, because it's not raining when the cops pull them over. It seems to like actually generate the rain, or at least pull it from the atmosphere. So it's very different from Catch the Rainbow in that regard, but who knows. How do you think the spin will tie into November Rain? Not in any particularly obvious way. It's possible that it just won't, and there will be some other means that the spin is represented in the part, but I do think the spin is going to be represented. What do you think is the obligatory fan service stand from the OG verse? Probably King Crimson. I think we're gonna see King Crimson within the first 10-15 chapters, or some approximation of King Crimson, and then we're gonna get some approximation of Made in Heaven towards the end. It's not gonna be like overtly Made in Heaven, but it'll be similar in application. Ebony Devil, yeah. Made in Hell. Ah, that's great. Yeah, Made in Hell. We'll get Made in Hell. I really like this poster. It's a good poster. Just sneak that in right there. Part 7's The World was a major fight. 8's Killer Queen was a flashback utility. Part 9's Queen Crimson should be given to a literally who. That'd be pretty funny. I think the villa would be like Bruno meeting Diavolo. It seems a bit early for that, but possibly. Again, we don't necessarily know how the whole alternate universe shit is going to operate in JOJOLands compared to how it did in the previous 2 parts, but I feel confident that it will show up in some way. We already have like more gang related shit similar to Golden Wind at this point. Like the Golden Wind callbacks are very overt in the first chapter so far. We don't really have any Stone Ocean stuff though, so I think Stone Ocean is going to be like a lot more subtle, much like Stardust Crusaders was for JOJOLion, but it'll still clearly be there in some regard. I really don't want to be dealing with the headache that is King Crimson again. I don't think we'll be fighting King Crimson at all. And like, Killer Queen's ability was very different in JOJOLion compared to Diamond is Unbreakable. If not, then I think we might wrap up things. Ngalo returns. If you think about it, Dragona is kind of the Ngalo of JOJOLands. I mean, technically speaking, the sibling of Giorno. Dragona and Ngalo, very similar characters. Epitaph with no King Crimson would be funny. I can see 5 seconds into the future and then do nothing about it. So look at this mess of a screen. Like, we did go through a lot.